We're only 3 years into this thing, okay? And this is where a lot of people, I think, can get tripped up. All you hear about now is AI, especially if you track the tech news and all the users and stuff, but there is still very, very slow adoption. What I mean by that is it's one thing to say, I use AI every day. It's another thing to say, I use AI to do all of my work every day, and I'm managing AI assistants and AI agents. It's another thing to say that I've got a whole bunch of AI staffers that are working for me full-time around the clock. So the adoption is slow. For those of you that listen to Mike's show and have been listening for a while, this is an opportunity for you, because I can assure you, because I saw how long it took for social media to take root, okay? We are so early right now. I want everybody to understand that, okay? This is an incredible opportunity for you to be in your business, because there's a lot of people that just cannot keep up with all this stuff. The innovation, the rate of innovation is happening so fast. I used to say the social industry was the fastest changing industry in the world. Well, we both know that's not true anymore, okay? AI changes way faster. And that's really good news for us, because all you got to do is be a couple of steps ahead of other people to be very successful in this space.
Mike's got the hat, the AI kind. Unlocking power in business you'll find. Cut through the hype, explore the tech. Every week, new ideas to check. Allton leads us on a digital quest. AI secrets he'll always invest. Tune in tight, don't miss a beat. Knowledge groove, keep you on your feet. Listen up to the AI flow. Business growth, here we go. Cutting edge insights, that's the plan. With the AI hat, you'll understand.
Greetings, program. Welcome to the AI Hat Podcast, the resource for established solopreneurs who are ready to stop being the bottleneck in their own business. Each week, we architect the simple AI operational systems that eliminate admin drag and reclaim your time, bring you to focus on the high-value work that truly scales your revenue. I'm your host, Mike Allton. Subscribe, and let's build your empire together. But here's the reality check nobody wants to hear. While 90% of marketers believe AI will fundamentally change their industry, 70% see it as an opportunity instead of a threat. That gap, it's the hero complex, whispering in your ear that you can figure this out on your own, that you don't need to adapt your systems now. But here's what the latest industry report reveals. 2026 isn't just another year of gradual change. It's the year that will separate the marketers and business owners who scale from those who get left behind in the digital dust. And I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome back my longtime friend and colleague, Michael Stelzner, the mastermind behind Social Media Examiner, the empire builder who created Social Media Marketing World, the industry's largest conference, and the visionary founder of the brand new AI Business World Conference. With over 16 years of industry research under his belt and millions of podcast downloads, Mike just dropped his second annual AI Marketing Industry Report, surveying over 730 marketers. If you want to know where AI marketing is headed in 2026 and how to position yourself ahead of the curve, there's literally no one better to learn from than the guy who's been tracking these trends since before most of us knew what social media marketing even meant. Hey, Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike, great to be on your show.
This is a real treat. I was on your show and now you get to come on mine. This is fantastic. And I really appreciate it. I know you don't do a lot of podcast interviews, so I'm really excited to get into this with you.
Well, it's great to be on another show for another guy who I respect, and it doesn't hurt that we have the same name.
Right? This will be easy. Although the transcript gods are going to have a real issue with speaker one and speaker two both being named Mike. But hey, let's dive in. Your 2025 AI Marketing Industry Report, like I said at the outset, it showed 90% of marketers believing AI is going to change their industry. 70% see it as opportunity. That's creating an interesting gap. And what do you think that means for solopreneurs or marketers headed into next year?
Well, it's a great question. And first of all, for a lot of people out there, data and industry makes your eyes roll backwards. I know sometimes that can be the case for me, but I want to kind of explain why this matters for everyone who's listening. As Mike mentioned, we've been doing industry reports for the social marketing industry since 2008, I believe. It's a long time. And we started our second annual report, which we published, I believe, in October of 2025, just dedicated to AI. We started to see the trends a couple of years ago where marketers were very, very interested in AI along with entrepreneurs and creators. And this study was really interesting across multiple metrics. First of all, most marketers believe, as I'm sure everyone who's listening right now, that AI is going to fundamentally change the way the industry in which they operate behaves. And a lot of people, when they look out at the industry as a whole, they say, okay, I already start to see the changes. For example, the way we used to do things is becoming done differently. There's a lot more people utilizing AI tools instead of hiring consultants or agencies, for example. And that is shifting. And there's a lot of people inside of businesses that are expected to learn how to use AI. And that is shifting as well. So why do 70% see it as an opportunity? And why do they not see it as a threat? This is a really interesting thing because, first of all, 23% of the people that we surveyed said they didn't know what to make as to whether or not AI will create new opportunities or not. And 70% said, yeah, for sure, this is going to be a big opportunity. And 30% of that chunk of the pie said strongly agree. So what I think is happening here, Mike, is we have marketers who are optimists, like I am and like you are. We both have shows dedicated to AI. We know that AI is fundamentally going to change jobs, but I think a lot of marketers are basically, for lack of better words, taking the optimistic road. And we listen to lots of podcasts from our peers in the industry who are saying stuff that like, hey, this is actually going to take away jobs. It's going to fundamentally alter the whole world. And there's a lot of people that operate from a position of fear or uncertainty. And I think a lot of people right now that are marketers are accepting the reality that AI is fundamentally going to change, but they just don't know exactly how much it's going to change for their industry and ultimately for them. And this is where I think it gets interesting, Mike. You know this. There are certain industries that are really slow to adopt change. You know, we both came from the social marketing industry. There are still people today that have not embraced social marketing. There are still businesses, right? Yeah. Local businesses that have not embraced it. So I think some people here are being realists and they know that it's going to be a slow roll, especially working with really, really big brands. Change management is complicated. You've had people come on your show talking about this. And this is where it gets interesting. Also, on the job front, only 36% of the people we surveyed felt like AI is going to impact their jobs, which I think is really interesting. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of ignorance. I'm going to say that. I just don't think marketers are aware of the tidal wave that's coming.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's literally why I started the show. I had my aha moment listening to Paul Raitzer. He was paraphrasing and talking about Sam Altman's quote. This was a couple of years ago where Sam had said 95% of marketing is going to be taken over by AI. And I heard Paul talking about that. And it was one of those things where it stopped me cold. And I'm like, crap, I'm a marketer. How is that going to impact me? So I dove in. This was 2 years ago. And I decided, you know what? Nobody that I'm friends with, all the marketers that we know and love in this industry, they weren't thinking about AI. They weren't talking about AI, at least most of the ones that I would talk to. So I decided to start the podcast to scratch my own itch, but also to help them. Because here's the difference. You know, you and I have been living through a lot of technical changes in online marketing. We've watched social networks come and go, Google Plus, Blab, Periscope, right? And so I think a lot of marketers like us have been conditioned not to buy into the hype, not to, you know, go all in on certain things that are new and they're shiny, which I understand. But I'm a historian. I went to school for history. I studied European history and classical history, and I know what happened in the last 3 industrial revolutions. And I can see what's happening with this 4th industrial revolution. I know jobs are going to be lost or changed. The World Economic Forum predicts tens of millions of jobs are going to be disrupted or impacted over the next now just 3.5 to 4 years. They also predict many new jobs are going to be created, which is pretty cool. So I'm relieved to see that you've been tracking AI daily usage and you've seen it exploding. The stat that you shared was it's gone from 37% to 60% in just 1 year. So that's a bit of a relief to me, because then I'm seeing, oh, okay, cool. A lot of my marketing colleagues are now understanding they've got to start to figure this out. But for our solopreneurs and marketers in the audience, maybe they feel overwhelmed, what do you think the difference is between just using it daily and actually using it strategically in a way that actually might protect their jobs?
Before I answer that, to those of you that are new to AI, I want to encourage you that you are not alone. In the study we just did, more than 40% were 12 months or less into utilizing AI tools. So, and 17% of them were 6 months or less. So the good news is we are very early. This industry, as of this recording, is almost exactly 3 years old from the day ChatGPT rolled out on November 30th, 3 years ago from today. And that is encouraging. But at the same time, the fact that so many marketers are leveraging AI every single day is really, really interesting. And I don't think a lot of people are using it strategically. I think that they're using it to do very, very simple tasks. And Mike, I've witnessed this over the last couple of years at Social Media Marketing World. 2 years ago, which would have been 2024, there was nobody sitting down at the AI tables. Like, when I say nobody, maybe like one or two people, and we have theme tables where people can sit. And I couldn't believe hardly anybody was talking about it, because ChatGPT had just rolled out, like, I feel like within the last 4 months, and I just couldn't believe it. And then even in 2025, and I might be having my numbers all mixed up, but I was shocked. And in 2025, what we did was we rolled out an entire, like, nonstop 2 full days of content. It was a completely different shift. We had a room that could seat 700 people, and that room was packed out almost every single day. So something had happened. And I think what happened was what I heard in the early days was people tried ChatGPT, it was horrible, and they just kind of assumed it was never going to get better, and they never came back to it. But then they started hearing all of the innovation that's been coming, right? And if we think about where we're at today, it's not just ChatGPT anymore, right? And we're going to get into some of that a little bit later, but we've got Claude, we've got Gemini, we've got Grok, and we've got Meta, and just all these platforms that are coming out with tools, and it's being integrated into everything. And now people are utilizing it. But I still think even today, and I know this from my own company as well, like, I've got 19 people that work for me, and I track what they do, and it's kind of shocking to me how little they do. So to be strategic is different than to just use it to do a very simple task, like make this more precise, or here's an outline, write an email with it. And what we started doing inside of Social Media Examiner to make it more strategic is, first of all, we moved our entire company to Google Gemini. And the reason we moved to Google Gemini is because it's just really, really good. And fascinatingly enough, the same day that Gemini 3.0 rolled out was the same day we had planned to do the training internally. So I had to upgrade all my slides. But Gemini has gotten so darn good. And
Yeah.
the reason why we moved to Gemini is because we wanted people to create gems, which are the equivalent of custom GPTs. And what's really cool about Gemini is the key word here is integration. Okay. It integrates. We are a Google Workspace shop. So it integrates with our sheets and our docs and our drives and all the other things that we use, because most of the work that we do outside of Asana is actually in Google. And side note, it also integrates with Asana. The brand new version of Gemini has full Asana integration, which is really sexy and cool. So what we did was we trained all of our staff, first of all, on how to use Google Gemini by creating a virtual equivalent of themselves. And we said, okay, here's the spreadsheet where your Enneagram is. Here is like a prompt that you can use, and then ask AI to improve it, and then edit it, and then go ahead and attach our company vision and mission document, and then just save this as a pinned chat that you can go back to. That was like our first very simple task that we did. Then we trained them on how to create gems, which are much more sophisticated. And we gave all of our employees an incentive, which is for every gem you create and put in the spreadsheet, we're going to go ahead and enter your name to win a $100 Amazon gift card. And everybody was incentivized to create a gem, and everyone but one person created a gem. And we had like 37 gems that people had created. And they created some and their task was to create a gem to do a task that is something they don't enjoy doing. So for example, a social media news researcher, my editorial team created, which makes it really easy for them to curate news. Talent scout for each of our podcasts, my executive assistant. now a talent scout that goes out and finds original talent, which is really cool. And you start to think about how Google search and deep research and all this stuff integrates. A creative assistant for our graphic designer. So this creative assistant will actually mock up thumbnail designs based on the podcast interviews. A research strategist for placing me on other people's podcasts. So that's kind of cool. The research strategist can go out there and find shows that are non-obvious shows to place me on other people's podcasts. A timestamp generator for our trainings. So inside of our membership, we have trainings and there's key moments that happen. And because Gemini is multimodal, we can upload or link to a video that's inside of our drive, and it will automatically create the timestamps. An Enneagram coach, you begin to see the applications here. This is the way, that I think people can start thinking strategically, which is how can you use AI to help you do very specific point tasks that maybe you think are challenging. And we even created, Mike, our own internal gem that kind of guided them through step by step on how to create a gem. So it would ask them one question at a time using a model, and then it would come up with a section, and then it would finalize the whole section, and then it would allow them to effectively just take that, attach that into a brand new gem, and all of a sudden they've got something. And now it's in a shared resource. And the other big advantage to gems, as you know, is that you can share it with everyone inside the company securely, which is what I really love.
All right, there's so much about this that I love that I want to unpack. Starting at the outset of what you said, I was with you and many other marketers where I had used AI before ChatGPT and had been completely unimpressed, using tools like conversion.ai, which is now, they went to Jarvis and then quickly changed to Jasper, and they're a fantastic tool now. But back pre-ChatGPT's, release in November 2022, it was a tool designed to try to give you marketing copy, like ad copy or blog post.
Yeah, and it was
very
okay. It was okay.
Yeah, it was all right. And it was very much, you had to drop down for what voice, and it was always like somebody famous, like a Gary V. Well, why would I publish a social media post in Gary V's voice, assuming I even could? That would not be great for me as a marketer.
All expletives for sure.
That's for sure. So there was definitely a change there that we went through. And then, to fast forward to today, I absolutely adore the strategic guidance that you're giving your team. Don't just go out and find your own tools, because a lot of companies are doing that. They don't provide the guidance. They don't provide the financial and the training support. And so folks, they stumble into ChatGPT or, heaven forbid, Grok, and they're using it for streamline an email, streamline a social media post, that kind of odds and ends. But you've given them the keys to a professional grade tool, and you've told them, let's figure out together some actual tasks that are important, right? That are going to save you time. They're integral to your job. And then you could use that time to do other things in your work. That's terrific. It's funny because, I've been using Gemini now for a year and a half or so. And most of the teams that I'm coaching, they're either in the Google ecosystem or in the Microsoft ecosystem. And thankfully for those Microsoft folks, Copilot's come a long way the last 6 months as well. So both of those circles of users are able to tap into these really advanced tools with incredible integrations. I was on a call yesterday with folks who are in Excel, and they have this issue where they're always changing this pricing sheet in Excel and it's just got just a spreadsheet with all their products and their pricing, and they're always losing track of the changes. I said, well, Copilot can see the revision history. You just have to ask Copilot, what were the changes since the last revision or the last month or whatever? It'll tell you. It's terrific, right? All these fun things we can do now.
Exact same thing with Sheets too, I would imagine.
Exactly. Gemini can do the same thing in Sheets or Word or in a Google Drive. So, we've kind of talked about how you and I have been in this industry for a couple of decades now. I've been attending your fantastic conference. I remember year to year, you start off with this terrific keynote based on data. What have you seen over the past year in terms of trends? You've been studying this now for a decade and a half or more. How do you feel like this AI shift compares to some of the previous industry transformations, like we talked about Blab or just social media overall?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think that this is the most radical shift that we've ever seen. And it kind of reminds me of the early days of social media. And it was really fascinating because there is, this, Mike, because we were together at an event recently at MakeCon, Paul Reitzer's event. There is kind of an excitement all of a sudden the world of marketing has not seen a lot of change in the last many years. And now, with the introduction of generative AI and all the cool things that you can do, there is this kind of excitement that's bringing people back and wanting to learn. And it's injecting a layer of creativity, I would say, into our work that I have not seen in a long, long time. It reminds me of the early days of social, because in the early days of social, the promise was that, like, when we started social media marketing world in 2013, this was a big deal. During that time frame, a lot of marketers were struggling with figuring out a way to accomplish their objectives, which is to get more exposure, more leads, and more sales. And social media back then delivered on it, because back then you actually got reach and exposure and all the benefits that came from social media, and it was palpable, it was valuable. And you had a lot of people that were a lot of moms that were coming back to work, right? Because their kids were a little bit older. And it just created a whole new generation of workers that were not there previously because it was a new industry. Well, guess what? I'm seeing the exact same thing happen again, Mike. Some of the biggest influencers in the world of AI are people that got let go of their jobs in the last 3 years. They were, for whatever reason, laid off, or they lost their job during COVID, and they had some extra time on their hands to go deep into this. And all of a sudden, it unlocks something creatively inside of them. Because what AI does, the obvious thing it does is it allows us to get our tedious tasks done more quickly and efficiently. But the non-obvious thing that it does is it frees us up for deeper work. And what I mean by deeper work is it enables us to actually be more strategic. And how many of us want to be strategic but are buried in tactical garbage? Like, probably most of us, right? And we know there's so much more of an impact we could make if only we had time, right? Well, guess what? This actually compounds. The more you use AI, the more time you have. It's actually true. And I found it to be true. And I bet you found it to be true as well. And what you do with that time is kind of up to you. But what I love to do with that time is I love to get creative. So now all of a sudden, I can safely have multiple podcasts going on at once, just like you could, Mike. I also have the ability to consider doing things with my quote unquote limited staff that I would have had to hire more people for in the past. It's actually enabled me to actually go out and hire more people, because the creative stuff fueled the opportunities that made it so that I would actually hire more people rather than laying off people. And I do feel like there's a level of giddiness that I have not seen before. Like, I could not believe the level of excitement people had to learn all the things. Because if you think about what we have access to right now, we have access to AI music, right? You've got this incredible jingle that I always fast forward through because it gets stuck in my brain. But I know that was done by AI, right?
Yeah.
And you've
Yeah.
got this incredible script that you read at the beginning of each podcast that, because you're such a good communicator, it almost sounds perfect, right? That's why I messaged you once and said, "Hey, have you used AI voice cloning?" Because I actually thought you were voice cloning yourself.
Mm.
You weren't, okay? Because, like, you're just so good at reading scripts. I'm jealous. But, like, now all of a sudden you've got time, if you want to do extra stuff, right? Like what you're doing right now. This is an extra thing that you might not have time to do if AI didn't make it possible. So I do see that we're at the beginning of a creative renaissance. And I call it a renaissance because you're a history buff. What happened during the Renaissance?
Yeah. We had a complete explosion of different kinds of art forms, not just painting, but music, literature, everything.
And I believe that's happening right now before our eyes. We
Mm.
have people that didn't know that they could create video, that are creating incredible videos that are AI generated, right? We have people that, for whatever reason, are anxious about showing themselves on camera, and they've created a version of themselves that sounds like them and looks like them. And now they're pumping out content and they're thought leaders because they're using their AI avatars to do it. We've got people now that are doing videos where they're not showing up on camera at all. It's just their voice. And they're using AI to rapidly edit these videos. I think, I really do think, like, as a creative person, I feel like I finally have permission to play. And I think that's really, really important. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. You're right. This show is a terrific example. This is a lot of people don't know. The actual third time I had tried to do a podcast that was just mine on my own. The first two died after just 10 or 12 episodes because it was so much work. It was so little return. You know, podcasting is different from a lot of other creative mediums. You don't get the numbers here that you might get with other kinds of mediums, and it can be disheartening and so on. But here now, you're episode 108. At no time in my past would I've ever assumed or said, you're going to do over 100 episodes, Mike Allton. No, that absolutely would not have come up. And now, to your point, I'm thinking about, 2026, probably going to release a new book, probably going to host my own virtual event as a solopreneur, doing all these things on my own, still having a full-time job where I've got other things going on.
That would have been
So,
impossible
yeah,
to do before, right?
right. Absolutely impossible. No way.
Now, here's a
Yeah.
couple more things to add to this. We're only 3 years into this thing, okay? And this is where a lot of people I think can get tripped up. All you hear about now is AI, 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 especially if you track the tech news and all the users and stuff, but there is still very, very slow adoption. What I mean by that is it's one thing to say, I use AI every day. It's another thing to say, I use AI to do all of my work every day, and I'm managing AI assistants and AI agents. It's another thing to say that I've got a whole bunch of AI staffers that are working for me full time around the clock. Like
Yeah.
we have an in-house developer and he has what I call thing 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which are actually not people. They're AI developers that are coding. They don't sleep. They work the weekends and they're very economical. And we're innovating on stuff that frankly in the past would have cost us a fortune. So the adoption is slow. For those of you that listen to Mike's show and have been listening for a while, this is an opportunity for you because I can assure you, because I saw how long it took for social media to take root. Okay. I started Social Media Examiner in 2009. Okay. I was late, at least 3 years late, I figure, because like I think it was 2003 or 2006 when most of the big social platforms came out. I didn't launch till
Yep.
2009. We are so early. We are so early right now. I want everybody to understand that. Okay. This is an incredible opportunity for you to be in your business. I know not everybody's a solo entrepreneur, but if you are like Mike and you have another job, you know what I mean? This is your opportunity to be the person in your business, or this is your opportunity to be the person for other businesses. Okay. Because there's a lot of people that just cannot keep up with all this stuff. The rate of innovation is happening so fast. I used to say the social industry was the fastest changing industry in the world. Well, we
Yep.
both know that's not true anymore. Okay. AI changes way faster. And that's really good news for us because all you got to do is be a couple of steps ahead of other people to be very successful in this space. So I think we are legitimately looking at 3 more years at least until maybe even 5 more years until we get to everyone utilizing AI every day and everything. I just think the resistance is so high. And especially in really, really big businesses, they just move really, really slow. And learning this stuff is not simple. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, that is spot on, particularly when we're not limiting to just talking about marketers. When we broaden it to all businesses and all departments of those businesses, I'm talking, I'm doing workshops for like large manufacturing companies. So I'm talking to sales folks, operations folks, product engineers, and so on. Utilization is nowhere near the numbers you're seeing in these marketing surveys. I'm talking to folks who literally yesterday was the first time they ever prompted an LLM, which for you and I is kind of mind blowing. I'm like, really? What were you doing all of last year? And I'm not trying to put them down, but I'm like, wow, really? And it's also varying by country. I'm doing a lot of trainings in Europe, and a lot of European countries are way behind where we are here in the United States. I want to come back to the jobs conversation though for a second, because we touched on that earlier, and you kind of even mentioned folks getting laid off for other reasons, which is absolutely true, particularly in this economy. But yet your report mentioned, I think only 36% were actually worried about losing their jobs, being displaced by the jobs, that sort of thing. What do you think that they should know, either the marketers, the solopreneurs listening? What do you think they should know about AI's role in their business growth to help them kind of prepare for what's coming?
Okay, well, there's a couple things. First of all, there's lots of people that have different viewpoints on this. So I'm going to share what my view is, and my view isn't necessarily the same as everyone else's. But I will share this. There's a lot of people, like my brother works for he's an HR guy. He's in the boardrooms of some really big businesses, and many big companies are actually looking to use AI as an opportunity to satisfy shareholders and increase productivity and let people go. And I think that that's going to be a problem for people working at big businesses. But I think people working at small businesses that have a savvy boss at the top understand, like, what small businesses are doing is they're taking the stance that I'm taking, which is we're going to get our staff trained up in AI so that we don't have to hire a lot more people, but we're going to expect everyone to use AI to improve their work, which is one of the company expectations we have here at Social Media Examiner. Use AI to improve your work. And when we set that expectation, we make it very clear that we are not looking to replace you with AI. Instead, we're expecting you to accomplish more, which is going to help the vision and mission of the company be achieved. And we know, because we are out there training and talking to the world's leading experts across my AI Explored podcast and AI Business World Conference and all the stuff that we're doing in our AI Business Society, we know that there's massive advantages for all employees who embrace this stuff. So that's why I think a lot of people aren't really super concerned. But the fact that 36% are concerned, I still think that's good and healthy, that they should be concerned, because I believe that everybody should use this as like, I've got to learn AI because I'm only going to become more valuable to my employer or future employer or clients if I learn AI. But this is where the solo operator, I'm going to spin this. If you are a super small business owner or you're side hustling like Mike is, I think this gives you a massive unfair advantage, because now you can use AI to do almost every single role that you can imagine. And it's pretty crazy. I'm listening to a podcast. I'm going to look up the name of it in just a second, but it's called Shell Game. Fascinating podcast, episode 2. It started with this guy who was using AI audio stuff, and now he's creating an AI company, and he's the only employee in the company, and he's hired all these quote unquote AI experts, which are actually not humans, and they talk to him and they interact with him and they have Slack channel discussions, and they're actually building an actual company for him. And this is really cool because, like, what we know about entrepreneurship, and I know this because I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. Usually when you're a solopreneur, you usually have a domain expertise in one area. Usually it's either marketing or it's sales or it's technical. Those are usually the 3 areas where a lot of people start businesses. And if you have expertise in any of those 3 areas, where you need support typically is operationally, right? You need support typically to help keep you organized and to help make sure stuff is on task. And that's where you can design these AI agents and AI tools and Gemini and all this kind of stuff and custom GPTs to kind of automate a lot of this work. And I do feel like the other thing, which is the ultimate deliverable that a lot of small businesses offer, typically a small business in the beginning, is creating a service. And usually that service is priced based on the value to the end customer. And if AI can help you create that service in 1 hour instead of 10 hours, but it's worth 10 hours to the end recipient, then you're going to charge that higher rate. Why wouldn't you, right? And I feel like AI now allows small businesses to increase the number of customers or to go to their existing customers and add extra ancillary related services. So if you're in the marketing niche and you offer marketing consulting, you could now all of a sudden expand to AI training, right? Or you could expand to sales enablement, or you could expand to lead nurturing, once it comes in. There's all sorts of cool things because typically, that would go over to a sales department. So I do feel like it's going to be really easy for small businesses to add on services and keep adding on services without necessarily headcount. And then once they start getting enough revenue, they could decide whether they want to hire real humans to manage the AI, because that's really where we're going. Future jobs are going to be AI agent and AI assistant managers. What's your thoughts on that, Mike?
Oh, I could not agree more. This is the exact kind of thing that we're unpacking in my community AI Solopreneur OS, because I've been working in corporate for a couple decades now. Like we're using management systems and frameworks like EOS and OKRs and these kinds of things, which are terrific when you have a team. When you don't have a team, I'm the CEO of my organization, which means I'm the visionary, typically, right? There's nobody sitting here as an integrator in the EOS model who can say no to me. The dogs are here. They don't say no to me. They just listen. So that I don't have that as a solopreneur, but with the AI assistants, as you're talking about, you can build an AI team that can fit certain roles, and it's fantastic. And I love what you're talking about with all these things. Folks, we're talking with Michael Stelzner about his experiences, both in his interviews on AI Explored and with the event that he's got coming up, and of course the survey that he's done, which is fantastic, giving us roadmaps and guide marks for next year. We're going to come back and talk about that conference more in just a few minutes, but first a quick word from our sponsor.
This episode of AI for Business Leaders, the AI Hat podcast, is brought to you by Magi. Tired of juggling multiple AI subscriptions and trying to figure out which tool to use and when? Magi simplifies AI for businesses by offering access to all the leading language models and image and video generators for one low price. With Magi, you can create custom instructions to personalize AI for every business need and use them across all LLMs, including ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and even DeepSeek. No more building custom GPTs or gems that are limited to just one platform. Magi also lets you create customized workspaces for your entire team, giving everyone in your organization access to the same AI assistants and tools and prompts. Ready to streamline your AI workflow and empower your team? Tap the link in the show notes to visit Magi today to learn more. And now, back to the rest of today's episode.
So, Mike, I want to talk about your event, but before I do, let me drop a quick technical note since you brought it up. You talked about how I used AI to create the music for the opening jingle that everybody heard at the outset of this show. I used a tool called Suno, which was fantastic. I told it what my show was about, and I selected a couple of genres of music. I think I basically picked electric blues, and it created 2 or 4 tracks at once and allowed me to choose between them. And I think the second one I just loved. That's what I'm using. It created the lyrics. So if you guys go back and listen to that intro where they're talking about me and the AI Hat podcast, Suno created that based on just a little bit of information that I gave it. But the other cool thing with Suno was that I was able to strip out the voice and have just an instrumental track.
Is that
which
what
I could use?
Because I was rocking.
That's what we were just listening to. Yeah. So, if you go back and listen to that Magi ad, the instrumental track for that is just a different section of the instrumental jingle, because Suno will create multiple minutes of music, and you can even keep extending it and extending it. It kind of gets repetitive after the 3rd or 4th minute, but I have like 5 minutes of unique music. So some of it's at the beginning. That's what people hear. If you stay all the way to the end, my outro also has a different section of that same track. And then the stingers and the ads and that kind of stuff all use that same music. So that's just a fun tip for you guys. If you need audio for a podcast, an ad, a video, bumper roll, anything like that, Suno's a great tool.
Well, and I have a little tip of my own. Nano Banana Pro just dropped like within the last week. And I did something kind of fun, and I don't know if you saw it. I uploaded it to social media, but I took the logo for AI Business World. I uploaded it into Google Gemini, and I said, put this logo on a coffee cup in a cafe. That's all I said. And what's really cool is it didn't just put it on a coffee cup. It had a spoon there with the reflection of the light hitting the coffee cup, and the logo looked different because it looked like it was actually like put onto a mug, which is, it didn't just have curves. It had the color differentiation changes that normally you would have. But then I did something even cooler. I said, animate it. That's all I said. And you want to know what it did? It actually had a car on the outside of the cafe, a minivan drive by, and one of the guys inside the cafe get up and walk. And as he walked, the lights behind him, dimmed and stuff. And it added cafe background noise. First round on both of them. People couldn't believe it. And as I was watching your videos, I was thinking, because folks, if you're not watching the video side of this, Mike has some cool AI video as well. I would think you could actually upgrade a lot of the video work that you've done, because people could not believe how good it was. Like, I've had thousands of people watch this. And now what's really cool is anybody can take their logo and they can stick it on something. And that's what's really cool about Nano Banana Pro, I think is what they call it. It's just ridiculous with text. and understanding how to wrap it around real world objects, because Google is really good with this world building capabilities.
Yeah, they're coming leaps and bounds, and you're absolutely right. It's on my to-do list, overdue to upgrade that ad. Because what I did there was, and you saw it, and anyone watching, it's a series of short video segments, which we're still limited to 6, 8, 10 seconds, depending on which video model you're choosing. But for B-roll, or if you're going to stitch together for just a short ad like that, it's perfect. It's fantastic. So absolutely, folks, try that, play with that. These tools are getting amazing. Nano Banana can do infographics now, either natively or within Notebook LM, which is so cool. You guys should try that out. But let's talk about AI Business World. You told me this the other day. You said it's a sub-conference within social media marketing world. Talk to us about obviously what's going to be at the event, but also why should folks listening look at a conference like that and try to use that to educate themselves on AI?
Okay, first of all, we got a special coupon code I'm going to give everybody if you stick around. So AI I mentioned earlier that we had a track at Social Media Marketing World and it was the most attended. And I talked to my COO, who's a real human, and I said, what do you think about like us eventually starting our own conference? And what if we did it within our existing conference? And it made a lot of sense, right? Because we've already got a conference, we've already got a venue. It's the Anaheim Convention Center. We have 100,000 square feet upstairs, 50,000 square feet downstairs. So what we decided to do was take the downstairs section, which is 50,000 square feet, and effectively just brand it as AI Business World with multiple stages, a networking area, its own sponsors. But anybody who has actually already bought tickets to Social Media Marketing World will automatically get access to AI Business World. So this is our way of like allowing people who don't care about social media, but do care about AI to come in and experience this conference. 20 of the world's leading experts are going to be teaching on everything from AI video to workflows, which is kind of the hot topic right now, how to create automations, agents, all the things. And I do think that for a lot of us, it's one thing to say, yeah, I know I have to learn how to do this. It's another thing to go to a place where you're surrounded by thousands of people that are actually doing the thing, and to be able to talk to other people and learn about all the tools that they're using and understand like, yeah, don't waste any time experimenting, just go down this path. So that's why we launched AI Business World. It will be part of Social Media Marketing World for at least the next 2 years. And I just thought it was a really creative way to like have a conference within a conference. What do you think about it? Because I know you've been to the conference before.
I'm excited for it. I got to admit, I'm also excited that it's in Anaheim next to Disneyland. Got to
Yeah.
be honest about that. I've never been to
Walking
Disneyland without my kids. So
Yeah.
adult Disney is going to hit new levels for me next year. But, you and I went to Macon, and it was fantastic to just be immersed in AI education for a couple days. And that's what I'm looking forward to with AI Business World, being immersed in that, not just the lectures, which are going to be phenomenal. Obviously, I personally know a lot of the folks that you've got coming in, Chris Penn and Christina, some fantastic folks are going to be there teaching things that we love. I've had them, we both had them on our shows because they're terrific educators. But beyond that, you're surrounded by people in the rooms, outside the rooms. I mean, you and I we were having conversations all over the place, and they were mostly still revolving around AI and how are we using it? Have you seen this? That sort of thing. So that, I think, is what makes an in-person event so different from subscribing to a podcast. Yeah, I hope you subscribe to both Mike and I's podcasts, but I got to be honest with you, that's not the same as physically putting your person in a room or in a bigger room or a series of rooms where you're surrounded by hundreds, perhaps thousands of people who are there for a similar purpose. And you can talk to them in the hallways. You can talk to them in the evenings at the networking events. Incredible things happen for our businesses when you open yourself up to those kinds of conversations. I'm still talking to folks that I met for the first time at your past events, at the other events that I go to. These create business opportunities, friendship opportunities, partnership opportunities. I think it's a great idea.
Well, and a lot of the people that are there are consultants or agency folk, because there's a lot of people that are like, okay, I run an agency, I've got to expand my services, I need to learn AI. Every single session there is tactical, practical. How do you put this stuff to work? There is no theory, there's no like fluffy stuff. This is all like in the trench. How do you do the thing? Which is what we're known for at Social Media Examiner. So we do have a discount coupon, socialmediaexaminer.com/AI hat. Very innovative. We'll save you an extra $100 on any ticket to AI Business World or Social Media Marketing World. That'll last all the way until January 1st of next year. Also, what makes this event unique, I think, is it's all designed to be social. And Mike knows this, like everything about this conference is highly social. There's tables where you can sit on certain niches and get to know people. And there is something really magical about being able to network and connect with people. And I think I can safely say this is probably one of the most social conferences that have ever existed. We expect to have 3,000 people there this year.
I can vouch for that. I go to a lot of events every year. I've been doing events since 2016. My first event, well, 2015. My first event was 2015 Content Marketing World. 2016 Social Media Marketing was my first time at your event, and have gone not quite every year, but almost every single year since then. And a lot of times I'm going back for the networking and the social activities because it's just bar none, heads and shoulders above everybody else. So it's a fantastic event for that, for learning, for networking, which means, folks listening, you have to be open to that. I'll probably put a couple of resources in the show
Well, you
notes
don't
just to
have to
kind of
be
help
open
you.
to it. You can just go to
Well,
learn
you
if
should.
you want to.
I feel like you're missing out, if you don't attend some of the networking stuff, if you just head down, walk to one room and to the next, because I was there 2016. I'm an introverted person.
Yeah.
So 2016, I felt like I didn't know anybody. I knew like 2 people and I followed them around the whole time. And I didn't really open myself up. I learned, got better at the networking, got better at the conversation.
There are
For folks
meetups,
listening,
by the way, there's bazillions of meetups. Like we encourage our customers to actually create their own meetups. So you're going to find like hundreds of different meetups that you can go to. As a matter of fact, I'm almost certain there's a meetup for introverts. I'm almost certain of it. We have pre-event stuff.
and nobody's there.
The job is to help you make some connections while you're there. Because let's be honest, this is kind of a lonely industry and it's changing and it can be scary. And yes, they come to learn, but people almost always come back because of the connections that they make.
Yeah. And actual business, I mean, I'm starting to, sign workshops and teaching engagements and that sort of thing for Q1 from folks that I met at events that I went to a couple months ago. These things happen. So folks, definitely give that in mind. I'll have the link to learn more about the conference. Definitely I'll include Mike's coupon code. Take advantage of that now, not just because it's time stamped, but because I know the price goes up the closer we get to the event, not only for the event tickets, but travel, all that kind of stuff. So just commit. Do yourselves a favor. Commit December 2025 to going to AI Business World in 2026. But Mike, last question for folks who are listening right now, they want to get started today. Maybe they heard you talk about how they're not behind earlier and they don't agree. They maybe feel like they are behind. They don't want to wait until April to get started, which they shouldn't. What do you think they should do right now to kind of get ahead of the curve before 2026 hurts?
Okay. Well, this is what I've done. And I mentioned it earlier, but I recommend creating a virtual version of yourself. So what I would do is, if you haven't already taken the Enneagram test, I would take an Enneagram test. And Mike, if I'm not mistaken, didn't you have a guest recently come on talking about the Enneagram? Am I right or am I wrong on that?
We didn't talk about Enneagram specifically, but yeah, the very last podcast episode with Heather, we talked about mindset
Right.
and communication styles and so on. Yeah.
Well, you can take the Enneagram quiz for free and you can get your Enneagram. And then what you can do is you can go into any AI tool and you can say, your task is to become a virtual equivalent of me, but your job is to encourage me when I'm down. Your job is to spur me when I'm not exercising a growth mindset. And your job is just to help me think differently. Here's what my Enneagram is. Here's what my role is in my company. Like I'm the founder, the CEO, and here's what I care about. So in my case, I put what I care about is forward progress. And one of the thing I think, which is vision. And then if you have any kind of a document that you can attach to this, it could even be a thread. It could be just like a vision of what you want to achieve, or it could be like some sort of mission statement. Create that and then just pin it on whatever AI tool you're using. And then when you're in a funk, because let's be honest, we all get in funks, right? We get distracted.
Mm-hmm.
And go to this and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. Help me out. And the more context you give it, the more it's going to encourage you. Like I did this literally just a few days ago because I have to start planning for my Q1 objectives, right? For the business. And
Yeah.
I've been doing things. I haven't been thinking forward. And it said, hey, you've got this big vision, which is to have 100,000 customers for your software product by 2027. You have to get on this, right? And it kicked me in the butt. It knew I was an 8-wing-7. It told me I'm thinking too much like a media CEO and not as a software CEO. I was like, whoa, all right, good job. That's what I would have told somebody else. So just create kind of a virtual equivalent of yourself, because if there's one person you know better than anybody else, it's yourself. And just, you can tweak it and refine it. But once you create that, the key to the entire thing is to enhance this prompt for reliability and I think stability. I can't remember the exact phrase, but you could just say like, enhance this for increased quality. Just come up with something good. And then what it will do is it will take whatever you put in there, it will make something way better. Edit it, make sure you like it, and then create a new thread, pop it in there with the instruction set, attach whatever documents you've got, like your vision and mission stuff, and then just pin it and come back to it whenever you're in a funk. That's something you can do like today.
Could not agree more. My AI chief of staff, which is my equivalent to your assistant that you're talking about there, has been a literal life changer for me, because I'm a solopreneur. I don't have anybody here that I can lean over to and ask, hey, what do you think about this, that, or the next thing for me, for this today, for next week, for next month? And I've given it permission to push back. I mean, I've said, challenge my assumptions, and it does, right? I've got this AI work buddy. We talked about it on your show. I'll link to that in the show notes, right? And it's basically a way to do what you're talking about doing. And I created a little mini course for it. It's like $47. Teaches people, how to go through it and how to actually build the custom GPT or gem and so on. And about 8 months ago, I was looking in my email list, which I've had for a couple decades now. I mean, literally 2 decades. And so it was at like 45,000 people. Probably half hadn't opened an email in over a year. So I needed to do a lot of maintenance on that email list. And, I was having conversations with my AI chief of staff, and it's like, you really need to purge a lot of those people. And then your email openability will go up and everything. And I didn't want to just delete them. So I wanted to do a reheat campaign. And my thought was, hey, what if I offered them my $47 AI Work Buddy course for $1? Might pique some interest, make some money, reheat the list a bit, right? And I ran that idea by my AI chief of staff. And it said, Mike, have you thought about how that devalues your product? I've shared this story before, so folks listening might have heard me say that before, but I hadn't thought about that, but it was absolutely right. If I'd have asked any other marketer or savvy business owner, they would have said, Mike, don't do that. It makes you look cheap. So terrific advice. Mike, you've been absolutely amazing. This has been such an important interview for folks. I want you to let them know, because I know their minds are just buzzing with additional questions and thoughts that they want to run by you. Where should they go if they want to connect with you personally?
Okay, I am active on Facebook, LinkedIn, and X. Those are the 3 platforms. You can just search for Michael Stelzner. I've got blue check marks, I believe, on pretty much all of them, or whatever the check marks are. Most active on Facebook. And then if they want to listen to another podcast, AI Explored is my show. And I listen to Mike's. And if you have room for another show, throw it on there. And then if they're interested in that discount, it's socialmediaexaminer.com/AI hat. We'll give you an extra $100 off the already discounted sales. Thank you, Mike, so much for enabling me to come on the show and exploring some of these concepts with you today.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's been an absolute blast chatting with you folks. That is all the time that I've got with Mike, so I have to say goodbye, but I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Definitely go listen to his podcast. I've been listening to it since it came out. Our shows came out within a week of each other in 2024, which is really a real treat to me. So thank you for all the work that you're doing, Mike, to help marketers like myself and our colleagues in the industry. For folks, like I said, I'll have all of his links down in the show notes below. So till next time, welcome to the grid.
That's a wrap on another episode of the AI Hat Podcast. I hope you gained some valuable insights and actionable strategies to boost your business with AI. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your network. And don't forget to visit theaihat.com for more resources and to connect with me. Until next time, keep innovating, and remember, the future of business is human and it's powered by AI.